You are 99.9% empty space, and I'm about to prove it in the most mind-bending way possible. Right now, as you read this, you think you're solid, you feel the chair beneath you, the floor under your feet, the weight of your own body, but here's the truth that will shatter everything you believe about matter itself. You are almost entirely nothing. The atoms that make up your body are so small that if you scaled a single atom to the size of a football stadium, the nucleus would be a marble sitting at the center. The electrons, tiny specks orbiting somewhere in the parking lot outside, everything in between, pure emptiness. But it gets worse, much worse. Even calling electrons specks is wrong. They're not particles at all. They're probability clouds, smeared out waves of possibility that only collapse into something measurable when you try to observe them. Feynman revolutionized physics by showing us this disturbing truth in his 6 easy pieces. What you call matter is actually patterns of energy vibrating in quantum fields. The chair you're sitting on right now? It's not supporting you because it's solid. It's supporting you because electromagnetic fields from your atoms are repelling electromagnetic fields from the chair's atoms. You're not touching anything, ever. You're hovering above everything by an impossibly small distance, held up by invisible forces. But wait, there's something even stranger about what's holding you together. If atoms are mostly empty space and you're made of atoms, why don't you just fall apart? Why don't you collapse into a tiny speck of actual matter? The answer will blow your mind. You're being held together by the same force that powers the sun. The strong nuclear force, one of the 4 fundamental forces in the universe, grips the protons and neutrons in your atomic nuclei with incredible power. It's so strong that if you could harness the binding energy in just 1 gram of matter, you could power a city for weeks. But here's the kicker. Even this force operates across mostly empty space. The quarks inside your protons and neutrons, they're separated by distances that are enormous compared to their size. So you're empty space, held together by forces acting across more empty space, creating the illusion of solid matter. And here's the part that will break your brain completely. According to Feynman's quantum field theory, even the empty space between your particles isn't actually empty. It's seething with virtual particles, matter and antimatter pairs that pop into existence and annihilate each other in time frames so short they don't violate conservation laws. The vacuum of space is alive with constant creation and destruction happening at every point, including inside what you call your body. You are not just mostly empty space. You are mostly quantum foam, a bubbling, frothing sea of virtual reality where particles borrow energy from the future, exist for impossible brief moments, and then pay it back by disappearing. But it gets even more disturbing. If you zoom out from quarks to look at the bigger picture, the emptiness becomes even more vast. The space between atoms in your body is proportionally larger than the space between stars in our galaxy. If you could remove all the empty space from every human on Earth, compress us down to just the actual matter without the emptiness, all 7 billion of us would fit into a volume smaller than a sugar cube. Think about that. Every human who has ever lived compressed to pure matter would be a speck invisible to the naked eye. The you that you experience, your thoughts, your memories, your sense of being a solid, continuous entity, is a pattern imposed on an almost entirely empty framework. But here's what really breaks your brain. This emptiness isn't a defect or limitation. It's what makes life possible. If atoms were actually solid, matter would be so dense that a teaspoon of it would weigh millions of tons. Chemistry couldn't exist. Biological processes would be impossible. The emptiness allows electrons to move freely between atomic orbitals, enabling the chemical bonds that create molecules, proteins, DNA, and ultimately consciousness itself. You exist because you're mostly nothing. But wait, there's one final revelation that will destroy everything you think you know about reality. According to Feynman's understanding of quantum mechanics, the boundaries between you and not you are completely arbitrary. The electromagnetic fields that create your sense of solidity extend infinitely outward, getting weaker but never reaching zero. You are not contained within your skin. Your quantum fields overlap with the fields of everything around you, the air, the furniture, other people, the planet itself. In a very real sense, you don't end where your skin begins. You fade out gradually into the rest of the universe, As Feynman wrote in The Character of Physical Law, the whole universe is in a glass of wine. Every particle in your body was forged in the nuclear furnaces of ancient stars. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the oxygen you breathe, all of it traveled across billions of light years to become part of the temporary pattern you call yourself. You are not separate from the universe. You are the universe temporarily organized into a pattern complex enough to be aware of itself. The emptiness inside you is the same emptiness that fills the space between galaxies. The quantum fields that create your illusion of solidity are the same fields that create every star, planet, and particle in existence. Right now, virtual particles are appearing and disappearing in the space between your atoms at the same rate they appear and disappear in the deepest vacuum of intergalactic space. Let's return to where we started. You are 99.9% empty space. Does that make sense now? You're not a solid object moving through empty space. You're a pattern of mostly emptiness, held together by invisible forces, existing as a temporary arrangement of quantum fields that extend infinitely in all directions. The chair beneath you, the ground under your feet, the air in your lungs, all of it is the same thing you are, almost entirely nothing, vibrating at frequencies that create the illusion of matter. When you touch someone's hand, electromagnetic fields are repelling each other across vast empty distances. When you see a solid wall, you're observing quantum probability waves collapsed into patterns your brain interprets as matter. Tomorrow, when you feel solid and substantial, remember, you're experiencing what it feels like to be a mostly empty pattern of energy that has learned to observe itself. The emptiness isn't what you lack, the emptiness is what you are. And somehow, impossibly, beautifully, that nothingness has organized itself into something capable of contemplating its own existence. You are 99.9% empty space, but that 0.1% has figured out how to love, dream, create, and wonder at the mystery of being mostly nothing at all. And that might be the most incredible thing in the universe.